retirement. Yeah, retirement. Sure. You don't get pensions. Yeah, but it's been interesting. Thank you, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:30. I had wanted to present my annual report as outgoing chair and retiring mayor, but I'm told I can't. The regulations require that the first thing on the agenda should be a vote to appoint the new mayor and then the deputy mayor and vice chair. So we will start with the vote. This is for the election of the chair of the council and the town mayor for the municipal year 2026-2027, with immediate effect once they've signed their declaration. So, do we have a nomination from the chamber for? Yes.
I can nominate Councillor Bill Ralph.
Yes. Okay, Bill, do you accept that nomination?
If it's seconded, yes.
Well, you have to accept it before I can ask for a second.
Oh, do I? In
Yes.
that case, I accept it.
Okay, so is there a seconder for that, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Proposed by Morag, seconded by Councillor Pritchard. Are there any other nominations? No, so it's unopposed. I think we should still take a vote. I think we can do that by a show of hands. So those in favour, please show.
You can be in favour. I can.
Okay, thank you. That's unanimous. We've one abstention. I presume it's an abstention and you're not voting against. Okay, thank you. So Bill is appointed as the next mayor. Congratulations, Bill. Should we deal with divided shares?
No, you have to do so first.
Which bit?
We have to do Bill's declaration and give them to.
Okay,
Are you not on the chair?
no, so I step down. Okay.
Yeah, our new civic protocol says that everyone now has to stand while the chain is being transferred.
You do that yourself. You have to hook the chain under your wheels.
Seems to be.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I will take my place.
Can you read that bit aloud?
Yep. Well, I mean, okay. I, William Kevin Rowell, having been elected to the office of Town Mayor, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Yeah, and then we can fill in the rest afterwards. Yeah. Excellent. Please be seated again. Says here I can address the meeting. I'm not going to address the meeting to any great extent, but thank you for your confidence in me, and I hope that I can live up to it. All I really want to say is to express my huge appreciation to the outgoing Mayor, Phil Owen. I think at a time of immense change and quite a lot of challenge to this council, we had exactly the right person in post. And
That's very kind. Thank you.
and that's not just mates.
Might be.
Right, we move on to section 2, the election of a vice chair stroke deputy town mayor. To receive nominations and to elect the vice chair of council and deputy town mayor for the 2026-27 municipal year. Do we have any nominations? Nick? Nick?
I would like to propose Councillor Morag Bailey.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
Does Morag accept?
And does Moran accept? Yes, that's
Yes,
the
I
point.
will.
Right. There being no other nominations, we'll take a vote anyway, so please do show if you are in favour of Morag being deputy mayor.
That is unanimous.
That I'm sure is unanimous, yeah. Congratulations, Morag. You need to, I think, come forward and receive the chain of office, and you have the opportunity to address the meeting. Probably ought to stand for that. Doesn't say we have to get it. But
Yeah, it doesn't.
how does it? Right, please stand if you can.
Make it move.
Congratulations. Yes. Doesn't touch anywhere, you just sort of
We're going to say with you.
oh, you can do.
Need to just read that part aloud, Morag.
So, I, Morag Bailey, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you. And just to say,
I'm not on that line there and then. To the speaking.
thank you everybody for your support, and hopefully I will give the new town mayor the support that I've been giving him as a councillor since we both started. So and I will do my best. That's all I can offer. So thank you.
Seated again. So having done those two things, we come to the bit where we welcome you. Should have welcomed you already, I think, but you're very welcome. That includes our visitors. It's nice to have so many. I'm told that Diana wasn't only here to make sure that he didn't do anything silly like continue as mayor. But welcome, councillors, welcome to members of the public too. The usual reminder to all attending to show respect for everyone throughout the meeting in line with the obligations of the Code of Conduct. And do we have any apologies for absence?
Just Estelle.
Just Estelle. And we do wish her well.
Yeah.
I think she was hoping to be here to
Yeah.
not for facility. We also need to receive declarations of interest and if appropriate, consider any relevant dispensations. Anyone, any declarations of interest they need to make?
Just to advise you that you all have declaration of interest in item, I think it's at 10.1. It's all personal, but not prejudicial because you have an exemption in law.
Yeah.
But I will have to declare that all of you do have declaration of interest. It's because we're voting on allowances, and of course it affects all of you.
That's right. Right, this is the point that, oh, sorry.
He's on the screen.
Yeah, Richard?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Mayor. I need to declare an interest on the item on the private part of the agenda in relation to Berry Street toilets as a county councillor. And I will leave the meeting before that item is discussed. In fact, I need to give my apologies. I need to leave about 7:30 in any case.
Yes, thanks very much, Richard. I don't think we'll have got there by 7:30. We can try. Right, we come to the point that Phil has been waiting for. This is he's still writing it, good grief. The retiring town mayor's report. We receive a verbal report from the retiring town mayor, Councillor Phil Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been an interesting year, or it was an interesting year. We started the year with some inherited issues. I'm sure you'll remember. At the beginning of February, we had Andrew Rowson's report, the building survey and quinquennial report, which we commissioned, reporting on the state of the council and buildings. That was including the town hall, Anne Holloway Centre, DIC, the new council offices, Motte Bailey, Berry Street toilets, the whole lot. There were issues with all of them. When we initially received the report, I, like I'm sure everybody else here, had real concerns. There was a lot of things in there that were really quite worrying. Coupled with this, the council's finances had been depleted by some significant expenditure, including the costs associated with the development of the DIC new offices. There had been some unforeseen costs and expenses. We had to entirely replace the Christmas lights and all the fittings in the previous financial year, I think, which had all been quite expensive. The reserves, the financial reserves that were available to council weren't great. So it was a bit of a worrying time. I was also a bit concerned about the state of the council's records and how they were being stored and kept. That included the council deeds, leases, licenses, council minutes, policy documents, the whole lot. Most of them were there somewhere. It's just that in the amorphous system that had somehow developed, they were not easy to find. And when you did find them, they were quite often incomplete drafts without adequate plans, that sort of thing. So it became clear to me during negotiations with to grant the lease of the Anne Holloway Centre with the Powers Teaching Health Board, the Haven, our solicitors and others, that we really needed to get control of how we were keeping our records. So with the assistance of the then town clerk and my PA, Deb Justice, we did make a start on doing that. And then March 31st, I think it was, Richard, beginning of April, we appointed Richard as our new town clerk. He continued with that, and I'm very pleased to tell you that all our records, our documents, our archives are now in a much better state than they were, immeasurably better, actually. Since Richard's appointment, we have made actually very rapid and quite dramatic progress. And starting with our property portfolio, The Anne Holloway Centre, which had been beset with legal issues, has now been let to the Haven, part to the Health Board, on terms that are acceptable to all and still within the confines, the very narrow confines of the asset transfer agreement, which we had, which really limited what we could do with that building. We've done essential safeguarding work through the town hall. The clock tower has now been supported and made safe, or as safe as it can be. And after an awful lot of work, consultation, we are now imminently, if it hasn't gone in already, putting in our National Heritage Lottery bid for the regeneration of this building and also of the town centre. And the plans for it, I know most of you are aware of them, are actually very far-reaching, very exciting, and could be really transformative for the town. We identified some latent defects in the construction and of the council offices and toilets and the associated service. Those were dealt with. We're currently investigating possibilities for the recovery of some of those costs, but the building itself is performing very well. It's a thriving information centre, and it also functions very well as council offices. And of course, we're saving money because we're no longer having to lease alternative premises elsewhere in the town. Moreton Bailey, much improved, although it suffered recent attention from some mindless vandals. I wish they leave these things alone. The buildings are secure. Some have been partially dismantled. Repairs have been carried out to the stonework, the walls, the overgrown vegetation has been cut back, including the old railway sidings. And we're now looking for a use as amenity land, possibly as an event venue, which will benefit all the residents and visitors to the town, whilst of course preserving that site's historic status, which I think is important. The Berrier Street toilets, formerly regarded as something of a liability and a drain on our resources, have, because of recent events, become a potentially more valuable asset than perhaps we'd first realised. And with the agreement of the council, those were withdrawn from immediate sale, and we're currently reviewing all our options to maximise the benefit to the town and the council from the eventual sale or disposal of that asset, whenever that is. And it's important to say we've managed all the council's property and assets in difficult times, and yet we've still managed to improve the council's financial health. We ended the financial year with greatly increased reserves, better than last year, 2025, and better than 2024. And we're looking to improve those reserves further over the coming year. And with very good work, firstly by Aggie Titley, and more recently by Sonia Willems, our credit control system is working effectively and efficiently. Some bad debts have been quite properly written off. And we now have fewer debtors, I think, and fewer bad debts than we have ever had in the recent past, which is great. We've developed a 3-year budget to balance savings with new income generation. We have in place a much better budget planning process and procedure for each committee. And this is massively improved our forward planning, our strategy. It's made the council, I think, more financially resilient and aware. And we've established a separate audit committee as opposed to just finance committee, and that's aided things considerably. And we've improved those our financial reserves and our financial position, but without sacrificing services and events, or not seriously sacrificing any of our services or events. So the hub has gone from strength to strength, and is a prime example of what can be achieved with hard work and selfless voluntary work and enthusiasm. And thanks, of course, to Councillor Nick Howells. Thank you, Nick. That was a brilliant scheme that was your baby in the first place, and is now being carried forward by other volunteers as well as yourself. So thank you for that. The sports fields have been described as some of the best facilities in the country, perhaps even of the whole of the UK, if you take into account the size and population of the town. And that is, of course, testament to the professionalism of our operations manager, Mr. Paul McGrath, and his team. They've done an excellent job. The children's play areas look well cared for and attractive. We've recently installed new play equipment to Mitre Dray. The memorial gardens too have been well managed. Last year we put some new seating and steelwork installations in there, aided by voluntary donations, the veterans and the British Legion. And it's become a very peaceful green haven in the heart, not exactly the heart of the town, but in the town, which is, I think, its intended purpose. The commercial agreement which we entered into with the haven and the transfer over of staff and volunteers ensures that Meals on Wheels service will continue to thrive under the new occupiers of the premises. Community fridge project now in place, and with the intention that food doesn't go to waste or into landfill. And the town's annual events last year, the community boards, the carnival, the winter festival, the fireworks, were all held as usual and were free events for all, and will continue to be free events as far as this council can control it. And we're all well attended. Initiatives that were begun last year and will continue into next year include the Welshpool Place Plan, which will help us to control development, make sure it's sympathetic, proportional, and in the best interests of the town, and will give us some bit more clout with the county planning department. We've got new biodiversity measures and a biodiversity audit. Smart town initiatives, better communications and energy efficiency. We carried out a review of the council's human resources. We're addressing some of the issues that arose in that, and in doing so, we're aided by our newly appointed specialist HR consultants, who I'm sure Richard will agree with me, have already proved their worth and are actually quite proactive, and I'm sure are going to be very useful. Regrettably, there were some things we didn't do last year or couldn't resolve last year. There's continued uncertainty about post-16 education in the area, the lack of cash points in the town, state of some of the buildings and shop fronts, empty buildings like Sainsbury's, and still some traffic issues, notably around Roadbank. Of course, all those things are outside the council's immediate control, but we're going to use, well, try to exercise our influence and our best interests to ensure the best outcomes for the town. Did somebody speak? No? Okay, I'm almost done. You'll be pleased with that. So I commenced the second term of my office last year with some trepidation and concern. There were a lot of things surrounding projects, administration, finances, and staff resources. But I end my term with things in a much better place, and now look forward with quite a lot of optimism and confidence to the coming year, which is going to be one of the most exciting in the town's history as we continue with the project for regeneration of the town centre. And of course, the Tour de France is coming. And I'm very proud of what we've achieved over the year in quite a short period. But for none of that can I take any credit. I'd like to personally thank Richard for the help that he's been to me over the last year. And I've greatly valued everything that he's done. And I will miss our weekly meetings. He's made my job a lot easier, that's for sure. I'd like to thank Councillor Rowell for his assistance as my deputy over that year. And our staff, of course, for their professionalism and dedication. And they're the ones who make the decisions that we take in this chamber actually happen. And our staff have done wonderfully well this year. And to you, of course, my fellow councillors, people can easily forget that you're essentially unpaid volunteers. You give up your time to serve the town and the interests of the people. And I thank you for the work you've done in the chamber on committees and behind the scenes. People always don't always see or recognise the work that you do, but hopefully they will see and appreciate the results. So thank you all very much. Thanks. And that's my report for you.
Thank you. That was a very full report of the of what has been in many ways a very exciting and interesting and successful year, or really 2 years, I suppose, going back over the period. Once again, I would like simply to thank you for all that you've given during your stint as mayor, and I think and I hope that members and others will join me in a round of applause too.
Oh, thank you.
I think we'll move straight on because there may be things that people will want to comment on and some of the things you've raised, but they're elsewhere on the agenda anyway, I think, in the main. We move on to welcome our county councillors. It's good to have all three of you with us. Would any of you like to make a verbal update on matters pertaining to the county council and its work in the town?
Yes, I'd like to bring an update on an item that I've been working on in Gungrog Road. Hopefully we will have a bus shelter, hopefully pretty soon. We're just waiting to see if the money will be in the budget. There will also be a pole put up with a bus stop flag put on it and a timetable case for Gungrog as well. So I'm really pleased with that achievement. Thank you.
That's excellent. Thanks very much, Karen. So we move on to.
Chairman, can I ask if any of our councillors, county councillors, have any comment to make about the disgusting state of our crossing Welshpool and the traffic lights?
Yes, we've had updates on that previously. I don't know whether there's anything more to say, but Graham, would you like to?
Well, there's nothing else to say other than the fact that the Highways Agency are waiting for parts. It's very disappointing and alarming, really, but that is the situation. And I don't think we're any closer.
If you remember, Chair, Tim, you asked me to write to them, which I did, and I had 2 letters back, one from the people responsible for actually doing the work, and I had one back from Welsh ministers as well, after they've now come into post following the Senate election, basically saying the same thing. They're just waiting for the parts. They think around July is the timescale they have, but again, their hands are tied somewhat because of they have to be specially made for each point, if I'm right. Well, there's something to do with parts anyway in international countries. So,
Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just absolutely amazed that there hasn't been several accidents down on that cross at the moment. You literally have to go into the middle of the road to come from Church Street into straight across the road. I can't even remember the street now, Berry Road. They've just made it so dangerous. It's just dangerous. And to say that they're waiting for parts, but they waited to start it until they got all the parts, maybe?
Well, the original electricity was knocked out in January. It was exploded. It was an underground explosion, which knocked out the power, and that's why they're waiting for. I don't think there's an alternative to what they've got. They've got is what they've got. Unfortunately, temporary is dragging on slightly, isn't it? Because it would be 7 months since January if they do get around to it in July.
Well, I mean, July is earlier than some of the dates I've heard mentioned, so I hope that will happen. Yes, unfortunately, I mean, you have to have lights there, and so the temporary lights were not an option. They had to be there. The problem is, of course, as you say, coming in from Church Street, it makes very little difference in the other directions as long as the lights are working. But from Church Street, you've effectively got a single lane, and at busy times, that means there's a huge tailback. It also means that people then start intemperately changing lanes and zooming off in other directions, which is never a good thing. But,
I just said that, Chair, because a repositioning of those lights would make a huge difference to the health and safety anyway.
Yes, it's difficult to see how they can do it, but it would be great if they could. Yes, Nick.
I agree. It's not a happy situation on the lights, as Richard said. It was all down to that explosion at the start of the year. We're told they're waiting for parts. It is what it is. If they were to try and reposition the lights, I think it would obscure disabled access and access for pushchairs, etc., on the pavements. And I would just like to say, everybody is complaining about it. Does anybody have a viable alternative to offer?
No, I think you're right there. Jackson.
I was just wondering, they said there's a specialised part that's needed. Is it a specialised part that's unique to each crossing, or is there the possibility to transfer one from a less busy crossroad within our town so that we can have the main crossroad working and lights in a less busy area function, go and have the replacements there?
Chet.
Why don't I invite them to come and talk to you next time? And then you can ask them all the questions. You can, because they're the experts. There's no point in us trying to work out we're traffic experts. You can just ask them what you want. If you're happy with that, I'll invite them to come.
I think that's an excellent idea. You don't have a vote on it, but if it is a general.
No, just there's no vote.
Can I just say I would agree entirely with what the town clerk is saying, and can I thank Graham Breeze very much for information. At the end of the day, like always, he's the only one that acts first and does anything, and I'll stand up and say so.
I would ask you to note a little bit about respecting one another, because I think all our county councillors do work hard, and I'm very appreciative to Graham because he is very good at keeping us updated. But I think it's possible to thank Graham without necessarily. Anyway, that's fine, right? We move to item 7, governance. We have a number of things here which we need to agree. They are all items that have been discussed at the last meeting of Finance and Governance Committee. We begin with the first of those, which is you've got Appendix A and Appendix B. Appendix A sets out the basics of what the changes are. Appendix B is proposed standing orders for this year, 26-27. It's based on the standing orders, model standing orders 2025 for Wales. You can see, I'm sure you've looked through them, where the changes actually are. Hoping that we can adopt those fairly quickly. Anyone would happy to propose them? Thanks, Alison.
Second.
Seconded by Bill. Right, we proceed to a vote. Those in favour?
Hands up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. So we move on to Appendix C, which is the financial regulations. Not sure there are any huge changes here, are there?
There's no
It's
changes.
just a matter of adopting them for a future year. So I'll happily propose that on the chair.
Seconded.
Thanks, Alison. Those in favour?
Hands up.
That's 12.
Any against? Any abstentions? Thanks for that. So item 7.3 is the scheme of delegation. This is Appendix D. And again, I think that is pretty much as is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's same as last year. It's been
Yeah.
committee.
So, yep, thanks, Alison. And seconded by Warwick. Those in favour, please.
Hands up.
That's 12 out of 12. Any against? Any abstentions? Is that against or abstentions? Phil?
Yes.
Was that an abstention or against?
That was against.
That's against, right. And 7.4 is the investments and reserve strategy, which is Appendix E. It's good to see that we are in a much stronger position as far as reserves. The one comment I would make is that with some distance to go yet before we're in an absolutely secure position. So it's important that we continue with the robust strategy. Someone like to propose? Thanks, Alison. And all right. Those in favour?
Hands up.
It's 11. Oh, it's 10 actually, because that's it.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thanks to. And finally, we considered at the Finance and Governance meeting a adoption of the Welsh Civility and Respect Pledge. You have that as Appendix F. This is basically a simple statement of what I think is simply good working practice.
I move, Chairman.
Sorry?
I move.
Oh, thank you.
I'll second.
That's those in favour?
Hands up.
That's unanimous. And I like the bit where it says, Council will continue to learn from best practice in this sector and aspire to being a role model. I would love to see us be a role model. I think in many ways we already are, and we certainly can be more so even.
We just need to shout about it more.
We do, yeah. We need to tell people the truth about ourselves. That takes us on to item 9, committees. And we need to resolve the continuation of the committees that we have: events and planning, operations and development, finance and governance, audit, health and safety, and the Tour de France Special Committee, which we have set up but hasn't actually met yet. You have in Appendix G a summary of the powers of those committees, which are basically the same as they were, with the slight amendment that we decided to limit slightly the amount of delegations to the Events and Planning Committee, insofar as some of the items coming to that committee were really items that did need to be recommended to the full council, we felt. But we wanted to make sure that they retained complete freedom to spend on events and festivals within the general budget. And also planning and enforcement. I don't imagine they're going to spend any money on planning and enforcement, but it's important that they're able to send decisions in promptly, so that we actually get them to Harris County Council in time. So that's I think the only change to what was previously agreed. And would someone like to propose that we? Thanks, Maura.
Thank you. As chair of that committee, I propose that we accept those finance governance committees.
Thank you. Seconded by Alison. Those in favour, please.
Hands up.
That's 10. Any opposed?
I'm against, Chairman.
And any abstentions? That's Chris.
Sorry, Bill.
Okay.
Oh, Nick's got his hand up.
Oh, Nick?
Just a quick comment, Chair. We have a health and safety committee now, which we never had before, which is a legal requirement under, I think it's the Safety Committee and Safety Representatives Act of 1977.
Mm-hmm.
And we've only ever had one meeting ever since it was set up.
I think we decided to make it annual or biannual.
Yeah, so the new change is Nick.
Oh,
that
right.
it-
It's not as
meet at
important
least
as the other
once.
committee. It's not as important as the other committees then.
Well, both the health and safety and audit are both advisory committees. So when the finance governance committee discussed the committees, they decided to change it to at least once to make sure that the committee did meet. The committee will be meeting in July following our annual fire inspection of the town hall next week. I can guarantee that.
Thank you. Bill.
Yes, and just to respond very briefly to Nick's point, the idea was that if there are issues that need to be addressed, which are health and safety issues, then the committee would be summoned to meet. If there were no identified issues, then it would meet periodically, and that would be either 6 monthly or annually. I don't think to be decision. But the other point I wanted to make on the committees. Bill, you are down, your name is down to some of those committees, presumably because you put your name forward. But of course, you'll be on all of them ex officio. I don't know how does that affect the maximum numbers and everything?
Yeah,
else?
well, we have that item, I'll go through it.
Yeah, okay.
Which is in fact what we do now.
Indeed.
So this is section 19, election to committees. So we actually have, yes, I don't get to miss out on any committees now, which may be a bigger burden than this chain is actually, but anyway, we'll see. Events and Planning Committee, besides me, the names, as you see on the list there, are Morag, Phil Owen, Kelly, Nick, Jackson, and Ben. Plus one vacancy.
Well, that's
two
two.
vacancies. Yeah. So yeah.
Estelle Grievous has asked me to pass on that she would like to be on that one and the operations committee.
Right, we'll come back to her when we get to operations, but yes, so we'll add Estelle's name to that if people are.
And I believe Chris would like to know that.
And I'm sure Chris would.
I would certainly like to be on the events and on the operations if I could.
That's fine, we'll do each committee in turn.
Yeah, okay.
So if those are the only two nominations that are above what we've got on the agenda, the committee is fully subscribed. So if anyone else wants to put their name in now, we'd have to have a vote to see who to kick off, if that makes sense.
Looks as though that's fine. Do we need a vote on that or do we?
Yes, you need to formally appoint them to the committee.
In that case,
You can either do each one individually or we can do them all at the end, but
Well,
up to you.
let's do them all at the end if we, and if anyone objects to that when we get to the end, then we'll have to.
That's fine.
But yeah. So that therefore is Morag, Phil, Kelly, Nick, Jackson, Ben, and then Estelle and Chris. That takes us down to Operations and Development Committee. We want to add Estelle and Chris also to that. That leaves still one other vacancy. So we have Phil Owen, we have Kelly, we have Phil Pritchard, we have David, Nick, now Estelle and Chris also. Is there anyone else who would like to join the Operations and Development Committee? We'll leave a vacancy on that then for the moment. Finance and Governance Committee. We have Alison, Richard, Morag, Phil Pritchard, David. We have three vacancies now on that.
Anyone else would like to go on it? Remember, you can't be on more than two of the first three.
None of those on screen wants to join? No? Okay. So we'll leave that as it is with three vacancies.
Yep. Because we don't know, of course, Sally's not here this evening, is she? So we don't know what her committee choices would be. I think she's the only one missing.
Yeah, so we've had some vacancies that she can step into then.
Yes.
Yep. Audit committee at the moment is just Alison and Phil Pritchard.
It definitely needs more than one because
Actually,
the
it's
quorum
also
is three.
I'd like to go on audit committee, please.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Um,
And you, Carol, that's fine, Carol?
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Can you put my name down on this as well, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Carol and Richard. In
I'd
addition to-
I'd also like to go on the finance and governance committee as well, please.
That's fine. There was 3 vacancies, that's fine.
yeah, that's okay. Anyone else?
Are we taking mind of how many people from finance committee and audit committee, because we don't want it full of just finance committee.
Yeah, the terms of
It
reference,
is at the moment.
the terms of reference don't set any requirement to not, but I see the point.
Although we did decide that whoever chairs it shouldn't.
We didn't formally decide.
We
it, but
didn't
that's
formally
just
decide
what
it,
we
but yeah,
understand.
Hmm.
But basically, for the people in the room who don't understand, the chair of the finance committee, we decided informally shouldn't be a member of the audit committee to make sure there's a level of independence between the two committees. Because in effect, audit scrutinises the finances, and how can you scrutinise yourself? Is the
I think it does concern me a little bit that as I see it, there is actually no one on the audit committee who isn't also on the finance committee. It would be good to have someone who was.
yeah.
But I'll leave that with councillors to think about, I guess.
And this will come back on the agenda for next month, so you've got a month to think about. You know, we can put it on the agenda as many times as we want to chop and change. There may also be now our HR providers reviewing our documentation. There may be the requirement to set up an appeals committee, which consists of 3 members that are not on the finance and governance committee that would hear any appeals on staff disciplinaries that would be dealt with by that committee. It's quite important that those are completely not members of that committee, so they have independence on appeal. But we're just waiting for the guidance on that HR provider.
Health and Safety Committee at the moment consists of myself, Morag Bailey, Phil Pritchard, Nick Howells.
And 5 vacancies.
And our 5 vacancies, yes, I suppose. So anyone?
I'd like to go on the health and safety committee, please.
Thanks, Sharon.
Jackson's got his.
I
hand
would-
up.
I would also be up for joining that committee if no one else wanted to.
Jackson. It can be on
Maybe just-
advisory committees, can't
Oh
it?
yeah, I'm just trying to make sure.
Yeah.
that,
I think the 2 committee limit doesn't apply to the
Yeah.
the advisory committees.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
So Carol and Jackson. Yeah, so.
And the Tour de France committee consists of Alison, Richard, Phil Owen, myself, Paul Pritchard, Jackson, and Ben. It's oversubscribed by 1, so where does that leave us?
Well, it's not anymore because you get removed.
Oh, that's all right then.
However, if anyone else wanted to go on it, we'd have to have a vote. It's because we're saving 2 spots for external people. I didn't know how many people you wanted to have on it. I decided to put 2 down because it was getting very full.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me?
So in the terms of reference you just approved, the Tour de France committee, when council set it up, thought it would be a really good idea to have non-councillors as members of the committee. So for example, there are local prominent businessmen in the town who have a vested interest in making sure that Tour de France is fantastic, and the committee wanted to get their input in the our formal committee process, and we'd make them members. So if you read the terms of reference, it says the membership may contain non-councillors as co-opted by the town clerk with reference to the mayor and chair of the committee. And I've already got 2 businessmen who are itching to get on it. So we were just waiting for the committee to be set up to be able to co-opt them on.
Well, am I right in assuming that committee is not oversubscribed now by 1?
No,
Because
it's fine. It's just if anyone else wanted to put their name in, you'd have to have a
Chris.
mud bath.
Yeah, it's thank you, Chair. It's going to be a huge event. Is there anything to suggest that maybe 1 or 2 councillors may put their name down as volunteers for the day to be more involved slightly?
Oh, I would imagine that that's quite likely to happen.
Is there a volunteer list sort of thing?
Well, funny you should talk about volunteers, because today Tour de France sent out their volunteer
Yes,
registration, so.
yes, I
It's
realise that.
up to members of the public there to put themselves forward, and of course you can all put yourselves down as well.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll have our arms put up behind our backs to volunteer for something on behalf of the town council near the time.
Yeah, you all have to remember as well that it actually takes place after the next election. So some of you might not actually be here when the actual event takes place. I'm not saying that the electorate are going to get rid of you, but you might choose that you are fed up of sitting in the
Perhaps
boiling
none of
hot
us will
thing.
still be here, who knows, but, right, that's fine then.
The Mayor, sorry,
Yeah,
I've got my hand up, as I think Jackson had as well. I did notify the town clerk that I was willing to withdraw my nomination for this committee in order to avoid a contested election for it, but also to, if that helps with providing places for other people who are not members of the town council, I'm happy to do that. I still sit on a committee of the county council in relation to the Tour de France, and I'm quite happy to attend this meeting as an observer.
I think we can talk about that when we set it up, and if there's more people wanting to come on as non-members, Richard, that's a very generous offer. It's actually I think it would be beneficial for us actually to have you in two places. That makes sense. Banging our drum and banging the drum on behalf of the county council as well might work in our favour.
I think at the moment there isn't an immediate issue, so if we leave things as they are, but note your generous offer and maybe possibly revisit that if need be. Yes, Phil.
Chairman, I want to propose that the names we've got there now and the names that will come in, that we accept all those, and then the vacancies can be filled up by the town clerk. Anybody comes in, putting their name down for this, that and the other, if there's vacancies. But I do think that from here, it was on the agenda to deal with, and as such, people have had the chance to put their names in. But at the end of the day, we need to know, going from here tonight, who's on what committees.
That's fine.
And I move that forward.
I'm very grateful for those who put their names forward tonight, and for those who've already previously put their names forward, and I'm happy to second your proposal, Bill.
Thank you.
So,
Jackson's still happy to have
Jackson, are you, sorry?
Yeah, I am absolutely very much excited to be on this committee, but I would like to echo Richard Church's thing that if I do need to stand aside, I feel it's very important that we have on the committee someone from Powys Castle, because of course they will be the ones hosting the event. So I will be attending all the committee meetings, absolutely. But if we needed someone to step aside, I feel that Richard is kind of more needed as he's the link to the county council. So I just wanted to say, yes, I want to put my name forwards. But if we do need someone to step aside, then again, I would step aside, still attend the meetings, but just, you know, I feel we really need a space for someone from Powys Castle as well to help get the thing to achieve what it needs to achieve.
Thanks, Jackson. Your kind offer is noted, but we at the moment you remain a member.
Can I move progress, Chairman? Can I move progress?
Yeah. So that has been proposed and seconded by me. So those in favour of these people serving on the committees as named, I hope you don't need the names reading out again.
Hands up.
That's
Thank you very much. That's unanimous.
Lost me.
No, still there.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hello.
Yes, there you go. The sound of. Thanks, Nick. That takes us on to item 10.1. You may have noticed, by the way, that item 8 disappeared quite painlessly since it didn't exist on the agenda.
That's a surprise at the end. You weren't supposed to mention that.
Didn't even
know. Right, so it's Appendix H, councillor allowances for the year. I have no idea what we do about this, so I'm going to hand over to Richard.
That's fine. You've all had my report. It's the same report as last year because actually there's no changes to the allowance levels. So all you need to do is basically adopt the officer's recommendation, which is in the first paragraph. You just required to do it every year. That's fine. I just need to make you aware though, that we are dangerously close to the next group. So we are in group 3, which means that we have to pay a senior roll allowance of up to £500, or £500 to one member. So at the moment that goes to the chair, because the maximum, basically that's just how it works itself out. But if we go, we currently have 4,970 electors. Now, if we get 30 more, we're going to go into group 2, which makes all 3 payments mandatory. So we're going to have to work out who gets £500. That's just I said this last year when it was on 4,800 and something, and in a year it's grown by 100. So very likely this time next year, we'll be doing the same exercise, but you'll have to set a senior allowance to certain individuals. Of course, those individuals can opt out of receiving it, but you still have to set it. Just to adopt the recommendations if you could, yeah.
So we have.
It's all right. I was going to ask a question which Richard's just answered, that we can write to you, Richard.
Yes.
Opting out of
yes, it needs to be
receiving
in writing, otherwise I can't accept it. Last year I did have a set of forms for you to sign. I've got a set of forms for you to sign if you want to, or just send me an email saying I opt out and I'll click my.
Do you have forms now?
No, I don't. It's the one thing I don't have. With everything else, but
Thank you for that, Richard.
So,
oh, and sorry to say, Richard is ineligible for this allowance because he has a senior allowance at the county council. Mayor.
So Sandra,
Chair, can I propose that we approve the recommendations as laid out in the report?
those in favour? Seems like unanimous. Item 10.2 is bank mandates, authorised signatories. We have a list of authorised signatories there in appendix I think. We also have this resolution of.
Yeah, basically, I should have got rid of the paper, so ignore the paper. In the agenda, it has the list of people. We're basically asking to rewrite, as in overwrite last year's resolution to make it named people. Basically, the feeling at the Finance and Governance Committee meeting was that it's 1 year before the election. All of the mandate will change. There's no point in changing it now. Let's just stick with it.
Ah, yes, it all comes back to them then. I'm happy to propose from chair that we accept these names. So, and I second by Morag. Those in favour, please.
Hands up.
I think that's nearly everyone. 11.
Were you voting in favour, Chris? Or
I won't be in favour.
You know,
Sorry, yes.
yeah, yes. Next, item 10.3, dates of meetings. To consider the recommended schedule of meetings for the 2026-27 municipal year. You'd have that as appendix J. Yeah, not a lot to say. I see you've noted down 2 dates for health and safety, which is good.
Yeah.
It looks as if I think that last December we had only the full council meeting, and that was probably the first time we've done that. I think it seemed to work.
It's because if you do the week after, I think it's Christmas Eve, and nobody wants to be here on Christmas Eve. Yeah, 23rd over the day before Christmas Eve, and I'm not sure who wants to come. The council chamber on the 23rd of December, so it'll be the 16th instead. You'll note there's a massive grey block in April and May. It's because we enter into the pre-election period. The guidance we get in terms of local council elections is because that all of you potentially could be candidates in that election. If you were to use those meetings at any grandstanding, then we would technically be giving you more favour than any other candidate. So actually we'd be acting unlawfully. So the idea is that we don't have any meetings at all besides one full council which will have just approval of payment of invoices on it, and then we'll go home. It'll be a very short meeting. And then the council is required to meet within 14 days after the election. The election takes place on the 6th of May. So the most nearest Wednesday that is the nearest one that can be done, as in the latest one, is the 19th. So we will be meeting back on the 19th of May with potentially a fresh council, fresh pair of faces to elect the next.
Bill,
Yeah, thanks. These are the dates of meetings for 2026, 2027, aren't they?
Yes.
So the year should be 2026, 2027 in the first column, shouldn't it?
Oh, yes. I copied last year's and didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Chair, in relation to not having them in April and May, which I quite understand. However, in the run-up to the Tour de France, can I presume that that committee will continue to meet? Because obviously that will be key time for that.
Yeah, so that committee is an ad hoc one, so it doesn't appear on the dates, and it's called when we need it, and I suspect that will continue to meet. We're still, we don't know what the level of involvement with the committee will be with the event yet. We're still waiting to know that from Powell. So,
I'm also slightly anxious about planning as to whether if our planning applications.
Well, we have got a delegated standing orders. If a planning application is urgent, it could be decided via email.
Yeah.
So we could do that via email instead of meeting, because of course those applications could be politically contentious as well. We have to consider all the avenues when it comes to that pre-election period.
Thank you, Peter. Don't need to.
Yes, you need to vote to set the. If you don't set them, we can't meet.
Okay. Let's not set them.
Well, I can obviously to meet all the time, but it wouldn't be good.
Seconded.
With the change that Phil
Yes,
suggested.
so we're not meeting last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Someone second that? Thank you, Phil. Those in favour?
Hands up.
Thank you, that's unanimous. And outside bodies, to elect nominees to the outside bodies listed in the attached reports. So would you like to steer us through that?
Yeah, it's the usual report you have. These are the outside bodies that we elect councillors to. Last year we had a few vacancies. This year we haven't got any. So if you're happy, all the people listed are happy to continue, then it's just going to be a straightforward vote to adopt everyone. Unless people want to change or go on something specifically, then we'll have to.
Chairman, with an election coming up and everything, are you going to be sensible to leave things as they are?
I think you're probably right, Phil, yes. Yep.
That's twice you've said that tonight, I'm getting worried now.
As far as Burgess's Land Trust is concerned, we are required to keep the people in post for the whole term of the.
So this is like the current constitution of the trust,
Yes.
not any proposed change. When the new CIO comes into force, it will replace this with the three that council previously nominated, which I believe are Morag, Bill, and yourself.
Richard Church.
Richard Church.
Richard.
Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently on some of these, but only in my position as mayor, and the nominee is named as mayor in the third column. So that presumably means I'm no longer on those outside bodies. That passes automatically to Bill when we approve this. Yeah.
Well, automatically, but you already put them in there.
Yeah. Okay.
It already has moved.
It has.
Yeah.
So we need to formally propose that we.
Yes, adopt all these.
People, thank you.
You're basically electing them.
Could I just note that I have a concern about the outside bodies that are registered charities, where the mayor has to go onto them because there is a legal responsibility being a trustee of a charity, and the mayor is on for that term, which puts a significant responsibility, legal responsibility onto that person and owners for things that they have no control over, which is, I think, is a concern for the mayor.
The only comment I would make is that those trusts that are for the mayor of Welshpool or the Paris Land Museum, the constitutions are very long-standing and probably quite difficult to change to remove that office from them. I understand why they were done back when they were created in, you know, the 70s and 60s, whenever these things were made. But you're right, you know, when the mayor goes, they are a trustee. They're acting as a trustee, they have a fiduciary duty to that trust. Not to the council, they are representing the council, but they have to act in accordance with charity law. It is a burden for them. Of course, standing orders and the law does require and does actually allow that the deputy mayor can act for the mayor in any situation. So actually, if the mayor's plate was too heavy in one of the trusts, actually the deputy could be there instead of him, because the name is still they're acting on behalf of, as in that pot.
Right, yes. That's an important point, and I think it needs to be, it needs to remain on the table, certainly. Would someone like to propose that we continue with those in their present positions?
Chairman, I said, I think we should stay with what we've got until next year, because of the election.
I'll take that as a proposition then.
Yeah, I would.
Seconded. Thanks, Kelly. Those in favour?
Hands up.
That's unanimous. You. That takes us on to Appendix L and item 12. To agree the minutes of the last meeting of full council 1 month ago.
Happy to propose them.
Thank you. Seconded anywhere? Yep. I don't know who was first there. I think probably Kelly just. So those in favour, please.
Hands up.
Any comments as regards the resolutions and so forth?
In the matters arising, no, most of them are done, or some of them are now awaiting implementation. For example, in terms of the writing to the relevant authorities on Berry Street and Union Street, I had a response very quickly from Powys and the Mid and Wales West. Actually, we've formed a quite good relationship with them now in terms of communications, and they were actually, I think we were the first ones to tell us that the road actually was going to be closed for a week. And you know, they actually said 2 weeks in May, and then was quicker, which is fantastic. Again, as I said before, we had those responses from the Trunk Road Agency. We are waiting to implement the changes to the bins. The Town Hall Improvement Project Board will now meet because we've now had further information on that one. We're still there's still the things to sort out on the change of places, but that will be discussed by Ops and Development Committee, and the rest of them were done.
Good. So that takes us on to the various committees that have met since the last full meeting, beginning with events and planning, which is Appendix N. Chris, do you want to steer us through that at all?
I'm just getting there, yeah, thank you, I'm miles behind. Do excuse me.
The one?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Minutes of Events Planning Committee held on 6th of the 5th, 2026. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5, is it?
Yep.
Page 6. On page 7.
We have obviously this is a committee that has substantial delegated powers, but there are 2 recommendations that we need to specifically vote on. Firstly, though, can we have a proposal that we accept the minutes?
We didn't.
don't need to, in that case, that we note the minutes, but, so we happily do this. But we do need to vote on the two recommendations, which are, WTCM 659 and 660. To approve option A as regards Christmas lights, a 1-year extension of the existing scheme, which would include hire, carriage and storage at £2,840 and 27 pence. Let's take that one first.
I move it,
You move it.
Chair, on the condition that we felt that it was a new council next year.
Yeah.
And that would give another 12 months to agree what we need to do in the future.
Yes, thanks. Was that seconded, Bill? Thanks. So those in favour, please.
Hands up.
That's everybody, thanks everybody, I think. And the second one is recommendation that we support the 1940s weekend by allowing free use of the town hall, subject to other bookings and terms of agreements. This followed quite extensive discussions on the subject. Yeah.
I have some concerns about this. I have absolutely, I'm fully in support of the 1940s weekend. However, this council has agreed a pricing structure for room hire. And we have also determined that that is the structure for anybody who wants to hire it. And if we go ahead with this, we are then making exceptions. So where will the others be? We will have other people, other groups, organisations that are requesting exceptions. That concerns me. I think we are in a position, we're in danger of making a decision, then saying yes, but we've got lots of exceptions. So that is my concern.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, there is a slight distinction to be made here between the bare cost of room hire and granting certain exemptions to certain people at certain times. I think this arose largely because we were being asked to support the 1940s weekend in other ways by some financial contribution. We weren't in a position to do that. We don't give grants to these sort of organisations, but we were in a position to give some sort of benefit in kind to support the event by providing the premises. Now, I know there are arguments for and against that, and Alison makes a very valid point that if you do it for one, then you really have difficulty when refusing somebody else. But that was the idea. We give this as some sort of contribution in kind to show the town council's support for the event and what it actually does for the town. So that was the only point I'd make on that.
Certainly was very much part of the discussion, as I recall. Maura.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. I think the discussion was broadly around, did we want to support the 1940s weekend or not? And how can we do that within the powers that we have and in the budget we've already set? So for this year, there was no available money to support them financially. Now, whether we look at doing that in the future, but I think there's a broader discussion to have about the council's role in supporting the 1940s weekend, because I don't think anybody would like to lose it. However, what we could do, and I know I completely understand Alison's point of view, because as part of the group it was right, and this is it, this is absolute. But those are the sort of things we can do in kind for specific events that benefit the whole town. And that was why we are recommending that for that weekend, we do give them the town hall free of charge as the council support towards the weekend. If it doesn't happen, we won't get the income from the town hall anyway. So it was a small amount of support in kind that might go some way to helping them achieve that weekend in September.
Yes, thanks, Chris.
And thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was not here when they came and asked for financial support. I think over the years, certainly over the years that I've been here, we've given them a sort of support, whether it's
50% off last year.
Sorry?
You gave them 50% off the fee then.
yeah. Year before that, we left them bunting up for them. Even that is still support for the 40s weekend. It is not our event. We do not have to be the leaders on this event, but showing just a little small amount of support. We don't have to give finance or money or anything. Maybe a reduction in the rent. Again, I don't know. It's up to the full council to decide on that. But we have to be careful. We do not want to create a precedent, or we will have a queue at the door, knocking the door down, asking for money. And if you've done it once, they believe that you can do it again. So we have to be very careful.
Chair, can I just come in? There are significant events across the town that we support with our in-kind donations. For example, the music festival took place last weekend. We provided them 3 gazebos, equipment, we have done for a long time and we always will do. Same with the 1940s. The operations team are very helpful for 1940s weekend. So we're not just giving our support in the room behind the table, we do also give it in manpower, overtime, our equipment. There is a cost somewhere for the support that we give. But you're right, because none of those other events have come to us and said, what else can you do for us? So if you were to give an exception to one event, then you might expect more other events in the town to come knocking. For example, country and western, or music festival, or whatever. There's lots of events happening in Welshpool that don't get our support, that might decide to, and maybe you need to look at a separate, a sort of events grant scheme, and put some money to it and give them financial support instead. That's a decision for you, probably next year. But you're right. You have set a room. You have set some fees and charges for the financial year, which we will go on. Also, the complexity with this one is that a separate organisation has hired the town hall for the entirety of September. So do we know what areas of rooms the 1940s want? Because actually the assembly room is booked up for the entirety of September. Now I know it's the same person, but they are separate organisations, which is how it gets complicated. You've agreed a fee and a sum for the entirety of the assembly room for the whole month last year, and that still stands. And now you're wanting to give the rest of the town hall, potentially, free of charge. It's just you need to be aware that you're already having a big booking for the entirety of the month with the same person.
I think the thing that's that's persuaded the committee to make this recommendation was the awareness that the 1940s weekend is an event that's particular to this town within the area. Brings a lot of people into the town, is good for the town's businesses, and we wouldn't want to lose it. Particularly wouldn't want to lose it to any other neighbouring town. The proposal stands. If anyone is prepared to.
Well, I'll propose that we do, depending, obviously, subject to availability of.
I think that's why it says subject to other bookings and terms of agreement. I think that was sort of broad enough to make sure that we could work it between the other events. And I think the committee said if someone else booked it and was paying, then it was they would get priority, I think is what the committee said.
Yeah. Ezra seconder for. Thanks, Chris. So just to, as I said, this is to support 1940s weekend by allowing free use of the town hall, subject to other bookings and terms of agreements. And yes, it may be, it may be that we get a host of people knocking on the door as a result. That's.
Then you would have to come here.
They would, yeah. Those in favour, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hands up.
Right, that okay.
Any opposed?
1, 2, 3 against.
Yeah. And any abstentions?
Thanks.
Can I ask a question? What was
Yep.
the attendance last year, like the last couple of years? What has the attendance been for the 1940s weekend?
I don't know. The discussion became about because the organising 1940s came to me and said, what support can the town council give? Now I said, we don't have a budget for grants. But actually what the council could do is give you support in other ways. So the idea was that maybe the committee would want to elect one of its own members to the 1940s committee to help as a link between the two, you know, just our support as a person. That would be a good thing. But the committee didn't go down that route. Do you have a presentation from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'd have to ask the question and get back to you. We can if you want.
Yeah, no, it's just, it feels like the 1940s event gets, from my perspective, my opinion, it feels like they get more than any other outside event. Like they're always using other establishments to do charity nights to raise money. And obviously, as you said, we help them with manpower and other aspects, which and to be fair, I've gone 3 years in a row, and maybe I'm going on the wrong day, but I usually go the last day because that's usually when I can. But by 1 o'clock, there isn't anything left. And I simply ask because I don't want to lose the 1940s weekend. But as Counselor put, you're conveying favoritism, basically, is what you're doing. You know, you're saying to everyone else, hey, we love the 1940s, so we're gonna give them, what they're asking for. And of course, you will have a line out the door, and they're gonna raise, excuse my Americanism, hell. Because obviously you've already displayed favoritism to one group. And then the other issue that arises from that is that the Welshpool 1940s weekend is probably going to expect the same thing year after year after year. And eventually there's going to become a time where we can't offer that. So what do we do then, is my question. That's why I oppose it.
Yeah, there is no answer. That's, I think that's, it's something we have to face when it happens.
I just wanted to clarify, I'm not against it.
but,
Like, I'm not against the weekend. I just wanted to clarify why I oppose it.
That's, yep. Chris, yeah.
Yeah, just to answer that, actually, every year we do something for them. We make a point of saying, this is not an ongoing thing. This is not gonna happen next year, or it may not happen the year after. So I think we make a point. That's why they come every single year to try to get something anyway off us, which we usually supply.
Because we've been to it. That's the thing. We've been to them. I mean, where does it end is my question.
We don't bend to them. They come and ask for an awful lot more than they actually end up with. But we did give them a 50% reduction on the hiring of the town hall. But that doesn't mean to say it's going to happen again. We do make that quite clear.
I think the only issue with whatever goes in the future is the reputational damage of the council. When the council turns around 1 year and says, we can't do anything more for you, you will get hit with a brush in the eyes of the public by saying that you no longer support the event. So you do need to consider how long you can sustain these interventions.
We will always be.
You'll always get stick
yeah.
with the brush. We're a local authority. It comes with the territory.
This is what happens.
It is what happens.
Anyway, we will move on to item 13.2, which is the Operations Development Committee. Councillor Pritchard, would you like to take us through that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The May meeting of the Operations and Development Committee. You have the minutes there, 7 pages of minutes. The recommendations from those minutes are item 5.3, Biodiversity Action Plan. The recommendation is that we approve and adopt the Biodiversity Action Plan for 2026 to 2028. I move.
Second.
Are we just taking that one? Or are we going to?
Because I thought best to take them one at a time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Those in favour? Good.
The second recommendation, Mr. Mayor, was to ask officers to obtain quotations for a tree survey for all council land and specific works at Vicarage Gardens. I move.
Me too.
All in favour?
Hands up.
Good.
And the third recommendation, Chairman, was regarding allotments. To note the report in the pack and to approve joining the National Allotments Association as members at £70 per annum, and to approve additional promotional and improvement measures to improve occupancy. I move.
Second that myself. Those in favour, please.
Hands up.
It's good to know
Thank you, Mr.
that
Chairman.
on the subject of allotments, that the allotments behind the hospital are virtually all taken. There's just two plots untaken. There's one that's that's still quite neglected. We need to work hard on the Burgesslands site, I think. Finance and Governance Committees, this is Appendix O. If you turn to your page and find a blank sheet.
We don't seem to have the minutes of Finance Committee in the pen.
I've got them here. If you want me to distribute a copy. None of you spotted this until today, so I've got well spotted.
So I didn't get a paper pack, so I do have it online.
If you want a
You
copy,
didn't have it
if you want a
online,
copy, shout. But
you had it online separately, yes, yeah.
you would have had these gone out. I think it was at lunchtime on Thursday, so you've all had them via email.
Yeah.
And actually, more like was there only one recommendation anyway? The rest of them were.
Most of the recommendations
We've already
dealt with in
Yeah.
full council.
So there's just the one outstanding, which is the scrutiny of payments one. Yeah. But if you want, anyone's a copy, I've got them here.
So I can't go through the minutes really, but you will have had them on Thursday online. All of the recommendations we have dealt with either earlier on in this committee or to deal with within the payment section. I think the biggest thing to report is that we were financially better off at the end of last year than we were the year before, and that was better than the year before that. We can't rest on our laurels, and there's still a lot to do. Our reserves are in a better position, but they're still not what we want them to be. So hopefully we'll continue on that trajectory. And can I personally thank the town clerk in his role as responsible finance officer for the work that he's done on that as well, and all the staff and all the councillors and their committees, because we do it all together. So you can see from this graph, which is Appendix Q, we are now on the bright blue line. And that will all depend on when we get the precept through and the week that we look at them.
Right, so there is just one recommendation we need to vote on at this point, and that is to appoint the following members for scrutiny of payments. Councillor Morag Bailey for May, which will happen in June. Councillor Phil Owen for June, which will happen in July, quarterly check. And Councillor Richard Church for July, which will happen in August. I'm happy to propose that from the chair.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favour, please.
Hands up.
And I would endorse the Mayor's comments as regards the way the finances are being operated now, and the way in which our reserves are building up. I noticed that we are aiming to have between 3 and 6 months. I notice also that the recommendation is that we should aim at 6 to 12 months. So there's a distance to go if we're going to be fully secure. You've had a look at Appendix P, or at least Morag has waved it at you. And we have also Appendix Q, which is the council accounts. Fairly early in the year, so there's not a great deal to say, but is there anything you particularly want to point at us?
No, as I think we talked about in the committee, there's a few overspends, but we've already flagged them up in terms of when we looked at the insurance, the Not Bailey, we knew there was going to be an overspend there. There's also an overspend there on the rates because we're getting the rateable value of the not the pavilion but the clubhouse sorted. And there was also the overspend in IT accounts. Basically, our end of year process costs more than we had in the budget. But other than that, it's looking very healthy. And actually, looking at month 2, it's even healthier. We have achieved lots more income than we were expecting. So when it gets to next month, you'll be hopefully pleasantly surprised.
Will someone else propose that we accept these?
Yeah.
Thank you. And seconded by Ellie, I think. Yeah. Those in favour?
Hand up.
You. That's unanimous. That takes us on to the payment of invoices in May, which is Appendix R. You've got those in front of you, the 4 pages of them, I think. Jane, anything you want to direct our attention to, or is it all?
Yeah, you'll notice that we've been doing some tidying up of our finance system. So you'll see some invoices here that require approval that go back to 2023 and 2022. They just were never approved by council, or we can find the record of that. We've had now statements from them and things that they're basically, we're not actually sure we do owe them, but they're sitting on our finance system and saying we do owe them, and we're basically doing some tidying up. For example, they're the ones where the descriptions are missing because the finance system doesn't carry the descriptions over into the next years, which is very frustrating. So you'll see that there's 2 payments for Gilbert and Davis. I'm pretty sure I know what the first one is. It's for the hospital allotments, which happened a long time ago. But clearly, those bodies are interested in chasing for payment, or we've already paid them and they just haven't been updated in the system. So we're just asking for general approval of them, not specific, but as in we're not going to actually pay them. We're going to investigate them further. There's one that Richard Church is looking into us for us because it says that we owe the Power Stand Club £96 for some books, which he thinks we've already paid, and he's the treasurer, so he's the best person to tell us if we have a lot. So it's just doing some general tidying of the accounts, plus the things that we are needing to pay. The really one I would point out to you is the fantastic amount of electricity we spent in April on the TIC and toilets. Due to our solar panels, our usual electric cost for that is about £200, and this month, for April, it was only £82. And actually, this month, I think it's 20. It's like 20 at the moment. So the solar panels are helping, is what I'm trying to do. So very positive.
Imagine hot solar panels always being fried at the moment.
Sure they are.
Councillor Owen.
Yeah, thanks. The item for the sliding doors, is that ongoing maintenance?
No, so this is the sliding door downstairs here.
Oh, it's this one.
It's here,
Right.
and we're required under the door opening regulations, I don't know the full title, to get them serviced, and it hasn't been serviced for some time.
Oh, that
So
explains.
this is now our first time service. And
Okay.
because the sensor had gone, and now we've got it on a rolling.
Because I've seen it before, but presumably that's
The TIC.
That's the TIC.
And of course, we had
Okay.
the one at the day centre as well, so we did have 3, and now
Yeah.
we've just burned
Yeah.
out.
Thank you. Well, we need to
Approve these.
position for these.
Yeah.
So
As we accept,
that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
approve payment of
Seconded
those.
by Alison. Those in favour, please.
And of course, these have
Hands
already been approved by the financing. I don't think we'll get their questions scrutinised.
We didn't ask the one outside the door. Right, other matters. So 15.1, Bull Dingle. Not really anything much further to say on Bull Dingle at the moment. I have to say the trees are growing gently. Thistles are growing enormously. That's so I put down the ones behind my house the other day. But Jackson will always have something to say about Bull Dingle, so
I was just going to say that the good news is I've heard from a few residents that trees are growing well. But the bad news is I've got some photos. If anyone wants to see them, feel free, from one resident that shows before and after. And there has been quite a bit of land subsidence among the houses. The further side as you're going up from the garages and stuff, as you head up that way, the houses on the other side, the ones on the flat bit, some of the land leading up to their fences has fallen away quite substantially. So it doesn't look like it's threatening their fences yet, but it is a lot of land that's disappeared. So that's just a bit of a worry.
Yes, we have some land slippage behind us, an area of gravel which has been swept down. It's particularly vulnerable to heavy rain, something like that. So I'm not too surprised.
Have you reported it to Paris?
Well, that is, yeah.
Jackson.
So Jackson,
Have you reported it to Paris?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
hey,
Yes, it is disappointing to hear that there has been this subsidence, as we were promised, if I recall, that the existing root structure of the trees would hold the land together until the new trees have time to establish. It seems, from this amateur's perspective, that that doesn't appear to be the case. So I am glad that Councillor Broll has written to Paris County Council. I hope they do pay close attention for the sake of the residents we both represent, and that we here also monitor this situation closely to make sure that the properties nearby aren't affected.
yeah, I think by and large the existing tree roots are doing the job, but they're not everywhere, and that's the problem. It's the areas between them, which is certainly where there's been slippage on my patch. I'm afraid that the answer we get so often from Paris County Council on this particular issue is a tissue of further lies and evasive comments, which is very disappointing. Nick.
Thank you, Chair. Oh yeah, going back some time right to the start of the thing. Myself, who many years ago worked on the forestry for 2 or 3 years, and I was also heavily involved in tree safety management with the National Trust, so I've got quite a good knowledge of trees. And there was myself and several other informed people who warned of this subsidence right from the start, and we were totally ignored. I don't know what supposed tree experts they had to look at it, but they obviously got it wrong, as we said they would.
I don't think they actually even consulted with Paris's own environmental people. They just got on with it. I'm afraid that's seems to be the way they operate. It's disappointing, and we do need to keep holding them to their word on this.
If you want, Chair, Council could write as a body to reinforce the issues about.
I think that might be good. Jackson, would you be able to supply some photographs that could be part of that?
Absolutely.
You know, we weren't involved at the beginning, and we've tried to do what we can since we were alerted to the fact that this was happening. All you can do is keep applying your pressure as a local authority. We need to vote to authorise me to send a letter, but that's fine.
Well,
I would be happy to propose or second, depending who got there first.
Likewise.
propose second. Those in favour?
Hands up.
Thank you. I suggest that we send a copy of the letter to the county councillor.
Oh, we have to anyway. A standing order says that we have to send copies of letters to all of them.
Oh, that's fine. Town Hall Transformation Projects, receive an update on the project from the town clerk, who has probably had enough of the project at the moment because he's been working day and night on it.
I think very exhaustive now. Anyway, 18,000 words and nearly 40 supporting documents later, we are submitting it tomorrow. Well, the deadline is tomorrow at midday. Most of it is already in the portal ready to submit. There was a few. We spent most of the day doing some final tweaks to it, but I have to put my thanks on record first to Resources for Change, who are our consultants who've written most of it. Fantastic to work with them. They've really embraced the project right from back in the beginning when it was first launched in 2023. I don't think we'd be where we are without them. So massive thank you to them. And of course, the second thanks is to go to the project board. We've met and worked tirelessly since it was established in October. There's a few of you in this room, and I'm sure you're all a testament to the project and ideas that board has put together. You know, we've got council members and non-council members. We've got Shane and Gwen and James, and they've all been instrumental in pushing forward the projects that go alongside. It's a project for the lottery isn't just transforming this building, which we had back to the estimated costs from the quantity surveyor this morning. And of course, due to the war in Iran and inflation, have gone up quite significantly. We're now looking at just 3 million on the capital project itself. And you know, the rest of the money is then spent on these legacy projects to actually, as Phil said in his speech, it could transform the town in many ways, and there's some very exciting projects to come. In terms of timescales now, so we'll submit the bid by tomorrow midday. The panel part of the lottery meet 12 weeks later, so they meet in the end of August. We will get a written confirmation then in the end of September if we've been successful or not in obtaining the development phase monies. In terms of development phase, it's about 230,000 is what we're asking for the entirety of the development phase, and we use that money then to do the architect's fees, to get the plans finalised, to get planning permission, to do interpretation plans, activity plans, all the things that go with the project. And then we submit the final bid after that. If we are successful, the development phase will start in February 2027 and will conclude in January 28. And then we have to wait another 3 months then for permission to start the development phase if we're successful then in the development phase. And that will start in around end of May time, wasn't it? May 28 and conclude in April 31. So there's a long road ahead of us. It's quite an ambitious 3-year capital project. If we do get, you know, we will, and I'm so confident we will get there. Don't hold that, but you know, the work that we've done in the last 5 days, non-stop on this project, really has brought the inspiration to life about what this building is doing. It is the biggest civic building in North Paris. It has significant historical, you know, it's historic. You know, it's built in 1874. Prior to this building, a guild hall dates back to 16 something. You know, the legacy of a building such as this has been one that's been etched in Welshpool's history for a very, very long time. And that is where we've got to with the project. So after tomorrow it is submitted, but we should not rest on our laurels after tomorrow. We still have to do some work getting things ready for, if we then do get permission to start, that will then start in February next year.
Chair.
Happy to answer any questions.
Chair,
Yeah, please do, Nick.
can I just propose an official vote of thanks from us on council to the town clerk for the huge amount of work he's put in on this and progressed it as far as it's come to now. I think he did a fantastic job. Well done, Rich.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to second
It
that.
is a team effort, honestly. Thank you.
So let's actually have a show of hands in support of the town clerk and
Hands up.
Thank you.
So, and he was being very well protected by his staff this morning. When I called in, I said, "Is Richard around?" "Yes, but you can't see him." "Just go away."
It's been some days.
Phil.
Yes, Richard indeed has been an absolute Trojan on this. It's been great. He's done a lot. But can I also, I feel I need to mention Alison, who's chaired the committee, and really whose vision right from the start has sort of guided the whole project, really. So I think, yeah, a vote of thanks for Alison, so ably chairing the committee, or the board, rather.
The tyrant sat at one end of the room. Very well, I have to say.
The enforcer of homework.
I would also want to say, so I think it's very important to mention Glenn and Shane and James, whose contribution from outside has been invaluable. They've come in with a different perspective and pointed out things that we wouldn't have noticed or thought about otherwise, and that's been very important. And thanks to all those who've played their part on the board. Having talked about people from outside, we now talk about outside bodies. If we have any reports from our representatives.
Yeah, but if I may, just to advise people, let people know, The TG Evans Trust, which runs the almshouses down there, we run that, and just to let you know that the administrator has resigned and left. And we are 3/4 through the process of selecting a new one. But that's just so that everybody is aware of that. The other thing to inform you is the Burgess Lands Trust. We had a meeting the week before last, or I think it was a Thursday, I'm not sure. But we got to the meeting only to find there was a message there that first that Tony Harvey had a seizure. And he was quite ill for a few days.
Yes.
The strange thing is, I know he's been feeling a bit better, but I walked into the office today, into the town council office, and there's Tony sitting there in the chair waiting to see the town clerk. So he's got up over it quite well, but he's not nowhere near as strong as he was, but he's back to himself, if you like, and doing things. So all I would say on that is, if anybody got anything for the Burgess Land Trust, if you can leave it for a fortnight or 3 weeks or whatever, then thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I happened to see him last night, and he was looking very well, considering.
Yeah.
He says they'd no idea what was wrong with him.
Yeah.
But Margaret is like a Rottweiler at the door. You can't get past that door to see him, and that's what he needs, a peace of mind.
Yeah.
He doesn't need.
Any other reports from outside bodies? No, thank you. So that's motions for debate. Item 17.1, Appendix S is my paper on Leisure Champions. I'm very grateful for the fact that you supported this in principle a month ago. The slightly more negative comments that one or two people made were the ones that were enthusiastically taken up in my Welshpool. This happens all the time because it makes for better press, I suppose. But I did want to just make the point, because Councillor Pritchard made the point that we don't want to do anything that gives Palace County Council an excuse to do less for the town, and I absolutely agree with him there. The idea of what I'm wanting to set up in terms of litter champions, litter and tidiness champions, is actually a method of putting more work in the direction of PCC by actually making them aware of the areas where things need urgently to be done. I mean, I also very conscious of Nick's comment that things have been tried, including his great groundfall scheme, which was brilliant. And they last for so long, and then it sort of fades out. And I know that's always going to be a problem. It's something we have to address from the start. But I've spoken to a number of people about this since, just as I meet people, and there's been quite a lot of enthusiasm for it. So I know you start with enthusiasm and then it fades, but I hope that we can keep it up. I actually think that the sensible thing is for me to identify a particular area of the town, a smallish and discrete area, and aim to get people there doing a sort of trial run, see how it works in one place, and then see if we can roll this out across the town as a whole. But I do think it will make a difference. I will just read through the last paragraph. Litter is an annoyance and it spoils the look of our town. It's harmful to wildlife, and where it isn't cleared, it can attract vermin, and we know we've had a lot of trouble with rats over this year so far. On the whole, actually, Welshpool is not bad in this. It's a sight better in this regard than some places I've been, but I'd like it to be better still. So my hope is that this scheme can enable volunteers and statutory services to work together to greater effect, can increase awareness and encourage support from the wider public, and will make a real difference to how our town feels and looks. And I commend it to your support. The one thing I would say is most people are tidy. Most people take their rubbish home or put it in bins. If they didn't, we'd be knee deep in it. But those few who are thoughtless and irresponsible and are committing a nuisance, you know, we just need to try and minimise that, and we do need to make sure that we keep the place we live in tidy and looking its best. So I simply commend that to you. I think you've already agreed it in principle, so that's perhaps you might sort of agree it is slightly more than principle. I'm not sure whether we need anything further on that.
No, I think you've got the
I think
support
we've got
for
it.
council to trial that area and then report
So-
back and see
so
how
it's-
successful it was and then move forward.
Yeah, so this is really just so that you know in more detail what's I'm planning. Yes, Lauren.
Just to say, I welcome the report, Bill. I think it's the right approach. I was a bit concerned about trying to organise big litter picking days. And they're very good and they do things.
They don't happen
generally.
as they
Yeah.
always do, but yeah.
But no, I think it's completely the right approach to get a better way of I know Kelly does a lot of this anyway, but to get the powers that be who should be doing it, to actually do what they do. If we could only get them to prevent it a bit more. I spent half an hour today walking around my estate, picking up the recycling that had blown out of because of the storm yesterday, out of people's boxes. Because powers aren't going to pick it up for a week now, so that would help. But,
And that is another issue we have here, that parish use these flimsy boxes to collect recycling. There are other councils that use much more robust structures, but they wouldn't work with our lorries. It does mean that, I mean, why is it always blowing a hurricane? Every time it's recycling day. Happens every week, it seems.
It knows.
on our estate, it's all back in the right boxes
It knows.
until the next bit of rain.
It's Sod's law. When you're going to put recycling out, it rains or blows again.
Yeah. I mean, I applaud Kelly's constant nagging of those in authority to make sure things get done that need to be done, and it works. And actually, very often, county council people. I know this is true of people like James Thompson. That they are eager to respond once they know about something. But very often they don't know about something if we don't tell them. And maybe we have to tell them more than once. But Alison.
I was just going to point out as well, there are a good number of people in this town that litter pick. They do it quietly, like you have done for years. They just pick up litter as they go, put it in a bag and then put the bag in the bin. They pick up along the canal and do it. There are an awful lot of volunteers that just quietly get on and make the town better. There's no song and dance, they're not publicising it, but they just quietly do it. And I think all credit to them because they've been doing it for years and years, and it does all help.
Yeah, sadly not quite as many as there used to be because some people have had to give up because of age or infirmity, but there are still quite a few around. And a lot of people who take it seriously. Jackson.
I was just going to say 2 points. First of all, I was trying to look through your thing, but I remember you mentioning about getting the local school kids to design a logo for it.
Yeah.
Yep. I was thinking to boost having the thing advertised, don't have it as a request for advertisement, but rather as a mark of excellence. I know that Kelly has convinced some local stores to clean the area outside their shops. So if instead of having it as an advertisement to show people what's going on, we allowed this design from the local school kids of yours, which I think is a truly excellent idea, to be put in the windows of any shop that was actually taking care of the grounds in front of them. So just like a food hygiene rating where they can show off how they're hitting the food hygiene scores, we can say any shop that's achieving, tidying the air in front of their own store and keeping it clean and tidy will put up this badge of excellence, which will let people know about what's going on, but will also let them know that those particular shops are the ones that are taking responsibility.
Thanks, excellent idea, Jackson. I don't think it's either or, though. I think both sorts of things can be out there. Nick, you're muted still.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to offer my total support to Councillor Kelly Meredith, who I saw on Facebook today took some totally substantiated and inappropriate trolling about the recycling problems. Somebody was quite unfair. Kelly has done a hell of a lot for cleaning up this town, and somebody who doesn't really know what they're talking about decided to have a go at Kelly, and I just want to support her on this, and I hope the rest of council will as well.
Absolutely. I mean, sadly, it's easier to slag people off than to actually roll your sleeves up and get on with it yourself. And you know, that does happen, I'm afraid. Haven't seen what the particular trolling that you were talking about, but there's plenty of it about, I know.
I was accused of not being interested in fixing problems around town, and people were recommending to, because the rubbish hadn't been picked up, people were actually suggesting that I give out my address so they could dump it on my lawn. To that I say, go ahead, bring it on. My house is a mess anyway. So, I mean, you know what? You're just gonna give me something to do while I'm in self-isolation after chemo treatment, so bring it on.
You say more than that if there were all these people here, wouldn't you?
I would.
I think if you do find that there's stuff dumped on your lawn and you know where it's come from, we'll come and take it and dump it on their lawn, quite frankly.
That's fine. Look, my cat will have something to bury in the garden, so it's fine.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. The phrase "no good deed" comes to mind. Yes, just as someone who I think, like many here, has picked up, you know, lots of wrappers and broken glass, in my case from Bronner Buckley Wood, and the town centre, if only to save the feet of my pups. I am also strongly in favour of this scheme. I agree that such schemes work best when they do not intend to replace the function of the local authority, but to supplement and to work with existing capacity to better harness and to inform the local authority with local knowledge. So I commend that. Quickly, when it comes to the recycling bin problem, I have ordered from Powys County Council for free lids for all my bins. So I no longer have anything that blows away. I don't know if this is something that the county council need to recommend for all residents. My question for you on this scheme, so I wasn't quite sure if the details could be made out in your report, but how it might be decided who litter champions are, what the details are on their roles. If you could answer that.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's something that's just forming in my mind.
Right.
And it will vary, I think, depending on, you know, I know one person, for example, who would be keen to do this, but wouldn't be able to do anything herself because she's fairly frail and elderly. But she would like just to be able to report in if she sees a problem, and that's fine because I can then pass it on. But there are other people who are keen to actually get around their area and do things themselves. It's something that will become clearer, I think, once we actually start doing a pilot scheme, and that will enable us to build up some sort of I don't know, list of duties, list of responsibilities, ways in which we relate, as I say, many people do just quietly get on with it. There was a much more organised approach at one point, and that sort of has faded away over the years. Jackson.
Just the final thing I was going to say, if there is a portal for people to report these things, then would it be possible, as I think I mentioned in the past, to have a map with the bin locations of all the bins on there? Because I know a lot of people who do litter picking, but when they've got the Keep Wales tidy bags, you obviously have to put them by one of the bins. So it's just so they know where the nearest bin is to them at all points in time.
You'll be pleased to know, Jackson, that on the soon-to-be launched Visit Welshpool app, it has all of the bins on the road. And me and Bill have talked previously about having these litter champions report their issues, not through us, but via a system that we set up. That then we can track how Powys are dealing with it. Because we know if people are reporting to Powys, we don't see what the response back from Powys is. And if they do it kind of via us, we'll get the response back, and then we can kind of monitor how well the scheme is being implemented by, but also by them.
Right, thank you very much, everyone, for your contributions to that. We proceed on to I think it's a future agenda, if anyone has any that they feel we should be discussing. And the date of next meeting. I did mention, I think at the ops meeting, that it would be good to actually review the situation regarding traffic in the town following the road closure. It's not our responsibility, but I think it is our responsibility to take it seriously and take things up with those whose responsibility it actually is. But any other items for discussion at future meeting?
Yes,
I've already got it.
something I mentioned to Richard the other day. I would like on the agenda with regard to tourism and our effort to improve the town for business, our state of public transport. I am aware of several issues, which I won't bore you with now, but include the fact that there are no buses on bank holiday Monday, on bank holidays. So I just would like it to be an agenda item.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the next meeting is on the feast day of St John the Baptist, Midsummer's Day,
Probably pick that.
24th of June at 6:30. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. St John the Baptist, not even. No. That closes the public part of the meeting. Someone would like to propose that we enter confidential session. We do that. Thank you very much, Richard.
I propose.
Seconded by Kelly. All in favour?